And then when I saw the Entr Tech program, I was like, oh, wow.
Aziz, so happy to have you on the Sales and Sports podcast. First off, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Never been better, to be honest with you. And I'm just feeling good about life right now.
Love it. Well, it's hard not to, right? Living in Dubai, and
Yeah.
I guess that's what I really want to dive into on this podcast is understand your journey from what you're doing before Entr Tech and how you ended up working in tech sales in Dubai. Super inspirational. So I guess for the listeners, we'll kick it off. Like, who are you and what do you do at the moment?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm Aziz Ogeto. I'm now 23 years of age. Born and raised in Kenya, in Nairobi. And I went to university in the UK, UCL. And I graduated with a management degree from UCL. And as far as my interest in sales, I think that started maybe when I was in my last year of uni. That's kind of when I started to learn a bit more about exactly what sales is.
Yeah.
Because I think before, I sort of just thought sales was just making a transaction.
Yeah.
That's just
like
kind
most
of,
people do.
Yeah. That's sort of what my idea of sales was before. But once I started to grow older and started to get exposed to several people and started to have different conversations about potential career paths coming out of uni, is when I actually started to see how crucial sales is in pretty much everything that people do in their day-to-day lives. And it's not just the transaction. It's about communicating, building relationships, identifying problems and solving them. And just from my experience working as a BDR here in tech sales, 100% been exposed to all those facets of exactly what sales is. So yeah, that's what got me into sales. Once I moved away from the idea that it's just making transactions to the idea that it's pretty much everything in terms of learning how a business really works and how you can solve problems for potential customers.
Love it. And so want to dive into as well your background from working or living in Kenya, studying in the UK. What did you study in the UK? Where did you study? And then how did you make that transition from education to tech sales?
Yeah. So I went to business school at UCL, University College London, in the UK. So very prestigious university. And I guess us, our family, we were fortunate to be able to cover, the fees of university as an international student. So I'm very thankful for that, because I know the challenges that people from abroad have coming to study in places like the UK. Financially, it's not always a thing there. And I think in terms of the transition from education now coming into tech sales, I would say it's been, I don't know, it's what made me interested in making that transition was just the idea of being more hands-on in terms of the work environment. I think sometimes standard education has its shortcomings.
100%.
In terms of not really exposing you to exactly what it's like to work in a real job. And I just thought that sales, as I did mention earlier, it teaches you everything about how a transaction is made, right from when you engage a potential client to when you close them, right? And I wanted to be able to learn about all those stages, and that's why I developed that interest in sales.
And being 23, working in tech sales, already having a year of experience on your belt, that's pretty insane. Like I was, I believe, 24, 25 when I broke in, and I thought that was late. But obviously, you're super, super early, which is insane. So I'm guessing you studied university, was it a 3 or 4 year degree? And then did you start applying to roles? Because I know foreign students actually that are listening to this in the UK can find it quite tough with like the visa situation. So I know you came across Entr Tech, came through our program. So how did that, transpire post studies? Were you looking for grad schemes? Were you not sure what you wanted to do? Like, was it by chance you came across Entr Tech? Like, talk me through those dynamics. Because I know for myself personally, there's a lot of pressure when I finished uni from family and everyone else, to be getting into a grad scheme and following the sort of traditional, corporate, could be a consulting job or accounting job, which
100%.
just was not for me.
Yeah.
So did you always know you wanted to be in tech? Do you always know you wanted to be in like a startup environment? So just talk to me about like paint that picture for maybe the leaver coming out of university in a few months' time. Where was your head at, and did you jump straight in, and what was that period like for you?
Yeah, I think number one, the tech industry specifically was high on my list of priorities. So I wanted to be something in tech, but I had sales in my mind, as I did say earlier, that in my last year at uni is when I really started to learn about exactly what sales is. So, I didn't know exactly about the existence of tech sales specifically. So yes, in terms of the Entr Tech program, it was just by chance that I came into it as I was just applying for roles in tech specifically. So I wasn't actually applying for sales roles, even though I had it in my mind.
Yeah.
And then when I saw the Entr Tech program, I was like, oh wow, right? This is two things that I'm very interested in, and it combines them both. So I was like, this might be a perfect fit for what I'm trying to do. And obviously, it's a competitive landscape in terms of applying for jobs and in terms of recruiting. So I knew that you needed to differentiate yourself from the competition. And that's why I joined the Entr Tech Academy, because it's things like that that give you that differentiator from other individuals who are trying to apply for those roles, particularly when you don't have the experience, right? So I think it's invaluable to join programs like that, because they just give you the platform to move on and be competitive in those application process. So yeah, I think the combination of those two things, it was a great decision to join the program, and I don't regret a single bit of it.
Yeah, I love it, mate. Well, thanks for sharing. And I guess what were your key learnings and takeaways? Obviously, probably has happened so fast, and you've picked up so much more knowledge being in the role. But when you were on the program, what was your main takeaways, and what did you enjoy the most from that experience?
I think the number one thing was learning from people who've actually done the job, learning from experienced industry professionals, not just yourself, but all the other representatives that we had from some of the major companies in London. So I think that was the most interesting thing, because you're not just taking in information, but you're able to imagine what the experience is like from people who've gone through that experience, and industry professionals, and adding them to your network. So that was 100% the most important thing. And I think also how the Entr Tech program directly connects you with interviews, right? So it just shows the respect that the program has among the industry, whereby somebody coming from the program can just directly go into a job interview. And that's just one of the ways in which you can really separate yourself from the large pool of people applying for these types of entry-level jobs. So those two things is what really I found most interesting about the program.
Appreciate you sharing. And I guess, from my side, that was the main reason why I started Entr Tech, was to give people real-life exposure to experts in the tech space, learn employability skills, high-value skills, learn from experts that are working in the industry, not just from a textbook, and then have the community network to then obviously have links into the industry where they can get employed and not just land a role, but grow and have mentoring and be part of a community. So that's amazing. Do you think that really stood out for the guys at Easy Generator? So did you think having Entr Tech on your CV allowed you to open up doors to make a move over to Dubai?
Without question, and it's actually funny that you asked that. The recruiter who reached out to me, that was the first thing that he mentioned when he started to interview me for the role.
Really?
Yeah, he actually asked about my experience in the program. So there's no question that me landing this role in Dubai is a direct correlation of me joining the Entr Tech program. And I can say with 100% certainty that had I not joined the program, I wouldn't be here. Like, it's not even a maybe. It's just 100%.
It's honestly crazy you saying that, like just being here. Because I remember when we first spoke.
Like, I wouldn't.
Yeah, and I remember when we first spoke, you were, I think, in Florida, or you were doing some traveling.
Oh, yeah,
And then you were saying, I'm going back to London, but I'm thinking of traveling, but I'm going to be back, looking to get into tech, and then actually to be sat in this room with you.
Insane.
It's crazy. The world is a funny place, but it's a beautiful thing. And in terms of working and living in Dubai, that's pretty cool, right? I want to know, personally, I want to know about that. I'm sure people listening here want to know, what is it like moving to Dubai? Did you have a network? I think you had a family member, that maybe a cousin or someone here. How is it compared to London? Because London at the moment, people are moving away due to the high taxes, the weather. It's almost a bit of a dangerous city now. Like, I had my phone swiped last year, which is a nightmare. So what is it like living in Dubai as a 20-year-old working in tech?
Yeah, me personally, I love it. When I came in, as you said, it was actually my uncle that was here. So at least having him, here to kind of introduce me to the place was a big thing. And it's absolutely amazing. The no tax thing is something that I've really enjoyed. And, a lot of people have this perception that it's crazy expensive to be here. But from my experience, just the day-to-day living, I think is actually more affordable than it is in London.
Really?
So maybe the only thing that would be more expensive is the extra stuff, the luxuries, right? But just your day-to-day expenses are actually very manageable. And that might be a surprise to some people. And in terms of settling in as a young 23-year-old coming in here, it was a little bit of a challenge at the beginning, because my uncle isn't that close. He's quite far from where I lived. So it was a bit challenging just to learn the culture, to be able to affordably move around the place. That was a bit...
Especially when you're like starting a high pressure new career. We've got so much stuff to learn. You get pretty enough time in the evenings to network and go out and do stuff. And I guess everyone in Dubai drives, right? They have a car, or it's actually
100%.
quite spread out as a city. It's like such a brave move actually from you going for it. I loved it how you just gave it like so much courage. You're like, Jack, I'm on this. I really want to move out here and do this, which is like, hats off to you. That's so cool. Like, how inspiring to do that. I'm sure lots of people here will have advice for you. Probably can drop you a LinkedIn later. You might get bombarded. But how did you navigate that? Where are you at now? Like, even this is my first time in Dubai. My family lived in Abu Dhabi for a couple of years, so I know the Emirates pretty well. But it seems like a very open culture. Like, even going down Kite Beach today, obviously got a run later. I'll run club, which is going to be great. But everyone seems pretty open to networking, outside living. How is it sort of meeting people? Because it seems like everyone here in Dubai is, I guess, here to network,
make
on
money.
the hustle, make money. Really.
I would say like everyone that comes here for a reason. When like there's not many locals here. Right, I think it's only 10% of people here that are actually from the UAE. Right. So 90% of the people here are foreigners, basically, which is crazy.
It's a wild stat.
So it's just you meet people from all over the world, and I don't think there's any, I guess, number one nationality. It's pretty spread out all across the world. And yeah, I think, even the progression opportunities here. So in terms of, if you want to switch companies, you will always have a competitive advantage if you're already starting from a company in Dubai,
Yeah.
right? Because there's so many people who want to come here from outside.
Yeah.
So if you're already in there, 100% you'll have a competitive advantage. And I think the progression opportunities here are immense, right? Even in the place that I'm working,
Yeah.
I've seen tons of people move from where we are to go into other places, much more senior roles,
Yeah.
just because they had the experience working here and also being in Dubai in the first place,
Yeah.
right? So as long as you can get that entry point, which I was able to get,
Yeah.
the opportunities that open up for you are endless. And I think also one good thing is that they welcome people from all over the world,
Yeah.
which is not the case necessarily with places like the UK, the US. If you're not from there, you might have a bit of a challenge
tricky
navigating the visa processes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's not the case here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's if you're somebody who wants to, progress your career, right? This is a great place to come, because they'll welcome you with open arms.
Mate,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, super interesting. You say
Yeah.
that. Like, even arriving this morning,
Yeah.
went through the sort of customs.
Yeah.
There was no real customs. There was no customs. There was
Exactly.
there was no visa process.
Yeah, that's the
They
thing.
gave us 10 gigabytes free SIM when I came in. So like, there's no ag trying to figure out the Uber.
Exactly.
Everything's just so smooth. Like
Yeah.
I think even to do business here, it's just so seamless.
Even to do business without question. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think really like in your space, the tech sales space, the progression, because the US and the UK, everything really starts in the US, right, and then flows to Europe, and then I guess the European market and the US market are a bit more mature. I really feel like post-pandemic, the UAE has sprung up as like a hotbed for innovation. Like they've even got their creator visas coming out here. Like I really feel like a lot of people are moving here, and if you can nail that niche and do well in tech sales, there's a lot of companies in blockchain, Web3 coming up. So I'm pretty sure like in the next 5 to 10 years, it's just gonna get bigger and bigger. And if you're already in that, geography and you've got that exposure experience, I guess that's where the progression comes. And you're a testament to that. Even a year in, right? You've got a promotion. Was it before a year? Was it 10 months or something?
It was within 6 months.
Within 6 months.
Yeah. And that's another reason why I like the place that I'm working on right now. And also sales. Your progression is based on the input that you do, like 100%. The work that you do, right?
Yeah.
So there's no ambiguity with the reasons as to why you can progress from here to here to here, right? It's just about the work that you do, and it will show in the numbers, right? So it's very clear, what you need to do to get promoted and to progress within sales. And I think that's why it's also such an exciting field to come into if you really want to fast track your progression up the ranks.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like even for me, just because it's black and white, you know where you're at with your manager, you know where the promotions are.
Yeah.
You can see that progression.
Yeah.
Whereas other roles, where I guess people are in, maybe less client-facing roles, there's not that sort of clear path. So I think anyone in their 20s or even 30s getting into software sales, there's that progression and earning potential as well, right?
Yeah, and I also, a lot of the companies will tell you like exactly what you need to do to get promoted.
Yeah.
Right. Like for me, it was hit an average of 100% target within 6 months. You get promoted. Do it again, you get another promotion. Do it again, you get another promotion. Right. So it's
just clear.
It's just very clear, black and white, and you can actually focus on a goal.
Yeah.
Right. So you know exactly what you need to do, and you can track your progress, whether you're ahead of, whether you're on track or whether you're not.
100%.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You can reverse engineer it, see how much effort I need to do to get
exactly. If you need to do some extra work for you to get where you need to get to,
100%.
you already know exactly what you need to do, basically.
Yeah. So what does your typical day look like, and how is it starting there, right? Because obviously coming to a new country, into a new firm, how did you find that process? And tell us about your typical day today, because I know you mentioned this morning you're working Asia Pacific hours, which is super cool. So you're starting your day early, have your evenings or late afternoons off to go to gym or do whatever you want to do. So what does your day to day look like, and how is it, starting out at Easy?
So what our company did, they always switch the regions that every BDR has, and you just have to be very flexible to adapt to those time zones. So when I started off, I was primarily working the European market.
Really?
So their hours are, I guess, like 2 or 3 hours behind Dubai. So you would start off maybe at 9 a.m., get some emails sent in, and then maybe start calling at around 11, 12 noon while they're
waking up.
Waking up and coming into work. And then just call for like 2-3 hours into the afternoon with some internal meetings in there as well. And then the afternoon time primarily is LinkedIn is actually a big channel that we use in our prospecting, right? So reaching out to people on LinkedIn is actually huge, right? Because it's absolutely massive. So we would spend a lot of our afternoons focusing on how to target the high quality prospects and reach out to them on LinkedIn. And then before you leave, you do a little bit of admin. There's quite a bit of that to do as well. To log things on the CRM. Salesforce is what we use.
That's the worst bit. You usually want to be out of the office.
And then you leave. But you can also be quite flexible. Like, they don't tell you how you need to structure your day.
That's nice.
They just give you the targets that you need to hit, and then you can devise a proper strategy for you to hit those targets, right? And so you just have you're able to manage your own schedule as well. And if you leave early, there's nobody who's gonna like say, oh, come back, you gotta stay till 6, you gotta stay till 5. If you're done for the day, you can leave as long as you're hitting the overall targets.
You're all
doing your best so you can.
Perfect.
Good.
Love that sort of autonomy. And I want to hear more about the LinkedIn strategy. Are you guys sending out voice notes, video messages? Are you spending a lot of time building out lists on Sales Nav? Like, what's the strategy there?
We try to do pretty much everything. Sending the normal. We try to identify people who are high up in the influence level and have high decision making power, particularly in the tier 3 companies, which is 10,000 plus employees.
Oh wow.
Okay, so those are the most high value leads, right? So we spend a lot of time researching these leads and see whether we can tailor the outreach strategy to them so that you can differentiate yourself from the hundreds of people that reach out to these people.
Hundreds.
So we're big on trying to differentiate our outreach from what you see out there.
Interesting. And then would you do, I love just discussing this, like a connection request without any messaging? Would you personalize a connection request? Would you just send out an email? Like, how would you, because it's actually quite a tough platform to be good at. Even me being a founder, I get bombarded with LinkedIn messages every day. So how do you do it? Like, is there a limit of how many days you'd leave it? Like, what would be your strategy?
Primarily, we usually just start off by sending connection requests, right? We don't need to add any notes in there. You just send those out. And then once they do accept it, that's when now you can start to get creative with your outreach. You start off with an initial message, and then after a couple of days, if they haven't read or if they haven't replied, you send another message, and then you just keep trying to hit them, in several
in the nicest way possible.
And then trying to see if they'll respond.
And is there like a time of day that works best, or pretty much like?
I would say the mornings are pretty good. Their mornings, right? So that would, if that's in Europe, they're like 2-3 hours behind. So that would be maybe 2 p.m., 1 p.m.
after lunch.
Nice. Here. So that's probably the time that works best.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then cold calling, is that like big? Because some firms just don't do cold calling at all. Some do like 100 dials. What's the deal there?
Yeah. So our KPIs are 100 dials a day.
Wow.
So yeah, it's also a pretty big thing, and they have pretty strict expectations for you to hit those KPIs every single day.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are expected to do that. But I think it's also a great culture. You know, we're all willing to help each other out and call together.
Nice.
And you know, if someone's struggling, you know, someone's going to stop doing what they're doing to go and help them out.
So cool.
So the team members do make it easy for you to hit those KPIs.
Wow.
Yeah, because sometimes we all come together as a group.
It's much more fun when you do it that way.
It's fun. You can laugh at people
Exactly.
who are getting, you know,
Good stuff.
told some crazy stuff. And,
Yeah.
and then just help each other out. Yeah, because we all work as one team. And, you know, as much as you promote healthy competition, you still want to see the whole unit succeed.
100%. Because I've seen teams in the past where if the culture's not right, it can be like a real slog, like really tough for everyone.
Yeah.
That's cool. And would you say like that's 2 hours of the day that you just book off, or like how long would it take you to get through 100 cold calls?
It's not as daunting as it as it sounds. To be honest, probably 1.5 2 hours. I would say some regions are more responsive than others. So
it's longer.
Yeah, if the region is more responsive and you're having more conversations, it might take you a little bit longer, maybe 2.5, maybe 3 hours if you take a few breaks in between as well. But some other regions, they maybe don't pick up the phone as much, so you can get that done earlier, right? Yeah. So it varies from region to region, from my experience.
And do they give you like a particular script or framework to work off, or is it pretty much people freestyling using their, you know? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they don't give the scripts, so we can just use our own scripts. But we have a lot of meetings where people share what's working for them, right? And we just say, okay, this is working for me. Why don't you try this? See if it works for you, and then compare several scripts here and see which one works better. But in terms of a standard script that everyone has to use, no, that's we don't use that system.
Yeah, but as like an opener, not to be on the spot, would there be like, you know, someone in the team or from yourself that something that works best, like in terms of like asking permission to speak, or just jumping into it, or humor? Like, is there like a certain trick that works for you guys?
I think everyone has their different preferences. Me personally, I don't ask for permission. I would just say, hey, this is Aziz. I'm calling from Easy Generator. How are you? Right, simple, standard. Right, and a lot of the times I get the response, oh yeah, I'm good, thanks. How can I help you? And you just go straight into it. Right, as long as you, I feel like regardless of what you say, it's about how you sound. It's about your tonality. I think that's the most important thing. Right, what you say, you know, you can tweak things around here and there, but eventually I think the data is going to even out. You know, in terms of what you say.
There's a stat where like people listen to 90% of your tone and like 10% of the words you say. So like you're like just sounding positive and polite.
And I think one thing that people like to do in their calls, they like to, especially when they're doing their pitch, they like to rush through it. Just because they're scared that maybe the prospect
get it out of the way.
But I think if you slow things down, it actually makes the person on the other end of the line listen to you even more. So always, the slower you speak, the better. And just try to control that pace.
For sure.
To me, I found that to be the most important thing. And then just you know, calm down and relax.
Because otherwise you stress them out. It actually is more trustworthy if you're slow and you sound like put together.
Yeah, without question.
Cool. And talk to me about the SDR team. How many SDRs do you have in the team? And like, do you meet up with other SDRs in, you know, Dubai? Like, is it a big scene in terms of like SDRs, BDRs in Dubai for like people coming through Entr Tech? Some of them obviously want to come through to work and live in Dubai. It's obviously a very competitive market because everyone wants to be in Dubai. But yeah, how is it out here? Is there definitely a scene of?
Yeah, 100%. And I've also had a couple of interview processes. I was not successful in both of them. With one of them, I actually reached the 4th stage interview, and that was in Abu Dhabi.
Wow.
So it was not in Dubai. And I would say it's a very big market. The opportunities are there. And as I said earlier, if you're able to find the entry point, from there, you'll find a lot of different opportunities opening up for you. Because from what I've seen, I've seen this firsthand, they do prefer people who are already based in Dubai, right? So which is why I'm so thankful for where I am right now, for giving me the opportunity to have that entry point into the country. Yeah, because, when you apply for a role, right, so let's say you're ready for a change, you will immediately stick out if you're seen as somebody who's already working there, because there's so many, as I said earlier, so many people trying to come in the first place. Yeah, so if you're already there, you've already pretty much separated yourself from a large group of people, is what I would say.
And do you just to wrap up, would you see yourself here long term? Yeah, you ready? Yeah, you're pretty quick to answer that. Yeah.
I actually think I would, yeah. I really do. I really like the place. The only downside maybe is over the summer it gets extremely hot, right? Like it's unbearable.
Can you work remote for that, or?
Yeah, so we're able to leave for the months of June, July, and August. So for those 3 months we can leave, because they do understand it's an oven out here, right? So it's unbearable, literally. I was here last July, and it was absolutely ridiculous. So that's probably the only thing I don't like about this place. And everything else I think is really good. The people from all over the world that you can meet, and I think it's also a place that forces you to grow up. You can't just stick to your old habits of just lazing around doing nothing. You actually got to get out there and do stuff and meet people. So it really forces you to become a man and take control of your life, and I think that's probably the main thing I like about the place.
So sick, man. I love that. And lifestyle wise, what would your typical weekend look like? Are you going out to restaurants? Are you going out a bit of nightlife?
The nightlife is good. It's very expensive, I would say. So you have to manage that. You can't go every single weekend. My uncle, as I said, is here. So I usually go out and see him quite a lot on Sundays specifically. Nice. Restaurants are all over the place. The food is amazing. The beach, of course, and the weather outside of the summer months is amazing. So like right now,
20 degrees.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect.
February.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's perfect. Yeah. So the beach is a huge thing. Just going out there and lounging and chilling the whole day. And I do like to read myself. I also like my alone time too. Since I came here, I've been doing a lot of reading, and I think it also helps in your actual job. Because it improves your ability to communicate. So I've found that reading helps me also focus in my actual job and do better. And there's tons of stuff to do here. I think it's much better than London, in my opinion.
Even this morning, I was like, actually, what am I doing in London? Like waking up with a t-shirt on in February. And going for a run down the beach. It's so cool.
It's not for everyone though. It can be a little bit overwhelming to some people. You know, it can be 100%.
For sure. I think that's why you either love it or you hate it. Even
without
today,
question.
I think everyone almost needs to come to Dubai. Habibi, come to Dubai because you've got to see it, because it's actually really inspirational. I was speaking to John, who's on our program at the moment at this cohort, and he said to me, it's actually super inspiring because you can see the wealth here. They don't hide it. It's out there. There's yachts, there's Ferraris, but almost if you can see it, you can almost visualize it and touch it. So you almost does inspire you, as you said. Everyone's here for a reason. And makes question, you probably.
I think if you're just focused on trying to progress financially and trying to make money, I think it's a great place to be. And as I said earlier, they welcome you with open arms, right? Now the application processes might be competitive, but that's from a company's perspective. That's not them saying that we don't want foreigners and people from outside. They'll welcome you with open arms because they actually rely on you to keep the economy going, because there's only 10% of the locals, right? So they don't really work. They just chill. They
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much do nothing.
Yeah.
So it's actually people like us that keep this place going.
Right.
So that's why it's a
Yeah.
great place to come
Open
in.
door policy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Progress
Cool.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. What's next for you then? Just, I guess you're now promoted up to, is it a senior BDR
Senior
role?
BDR. Yeah.
Do they give you a path? What's next? Like, do you want to stay in sales? Are you thinking of going more strategic? What's your next couple of years?
Yeah, I think from here on, hitting target for another 6 months, you go into an enterprise BDR. So I do want to move into the enterprise BDR role. And then from there, you've kind of finished your BDR journey. Nice. So I want to see if I can master this BDR role first and make sure I'm really, really good at it. And I can say I was a really good BDR.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm very keen on getting promoted to enterprise BDR. And then from there, I'm looking at going one of two ways. Number one is entrepreneurship, right? So I'm just trying to save.
I remember you said that.
Yeah.
You said fintech and entrepreneurship. And obviously, there's a big startup scene in Kenya as well. Isn't
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
And
100%.
Microfinance, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And stuff.
Now I've been able to save quite a bit of money, and the money that you make here is worth so much more back home.
Yeah.
So that's the opportunity I've seen for myself, whereby if I can just keep saving month after month after month after month, do that for 2.5 years, you can go back home with a gold mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
But I do really want to master this BDR role and go into an
Senior
enterprise, BDR, do that for maybe 6 months, a year.
Yeah.
And then I can say I've been really good at this.
Exactly.
See how much money I've got, and then see whether I can now do my own thing.
And then even if you want to fall back into tech sales, the business doesn't go to where you want it to be.
100%.
Tech sales is always there.
Yeah.
But I say to everyone, it's such a good skill to have.
Oh yeah, without
Selling,
question.
it teaches you a lot about entrepreneurship,
Without
startups.
question.
Tech sales is like the best university course or degree you could ever get. I think.
Yeah, and I think also this line of work, it will help you wherever you go. Whether you want to go to business, whether you want to go back to school, whether you want to do another role, like wherever you want to go in your career, sales just teaches you a lot of the foundations that you're going to need for a lot of other stuff that you want to do. So it just teaches you a lot about life. You might not see it when you haven't gone through it yet, but once you do it, you see that, okay, I'm going to use this here, I'm going to use that there. You start to imagine scenarios where you're going to use the skills that you've acquired. And I think that's very big.
100% people psychology, it's all intertwined.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I know the guy's been knocking on the door, so we better wrap it up. But excited to catch up later on after this, go on a run, see a few other people and keep smashing it, crushing it, inspiring people, and excited to watch the next couple of years unfold, mate. So big thank you.
Yeah, very much appreciated. It wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have been a thing without you. So, I can only thank you as well for introducing me into the program and providing me with a platform to come here and advance myself, both in my personal life and in my professional life too. So, thank you very much as well for your role.
Absolute pleasure. Cool, man. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Take care.